All right. So we got this debate teacher guy, Nate something Silver or something like that. And apparently he's saying that atheists can't deny this near death proof. I don't know if he was trying to put death proof in there. It's kind of like a little like the movie, even though I don't think that he should be allowed to see that movie. It's rated R, okay, and it's a grindhouse movie. You can't be just anyway. That's probably not even true. He just didn't even realize that he did that. That's what happened. Anyway, we're gonna get into this. I am Brentley, and this is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. Okay, old school. Yeah, went fast. I clicked the wrong one. That's what that was. But yeah, that was that was my old song, but before last year or something. I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's see what this dude's saying.
It's understanding.
Right. Oh, and he's a self-described wise disciple, which is just kind of funny.
Welcome back to Wise Disciple. My name is Nate, and I'm helping you become the effective Christian that you were meant to be, which includes understanding.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I needed the help.
Evidences for Christianity, evidences for the supernatural, even when they come from unlikely places. All right, let's make sure to like, sub, and share this one around. But if it blesses you,
yeah, you can hit that like button too if you don't mind. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Sub, and what was the other one he said? And share around. And comment below if you're watching this after the fact. If not, comment, just chat, just hang out and chat. You know what I mean?
In a near-death experience, a person is clinically dead generally. They have no brain waves, no heartbeat, no respiration, but they're going to come back. And during the time that they are clinically dead, they say later, I was conscious the whole time. And this is what happened to me. And there's a common core to what generally happens. They often meet divine figure. They often have a life review with that divine figure. They often meet people who had preceded them in death and things like that.
Now, Strobel's going to go on to explain that this is not always a good experience, that a number of people...
It's also not always consistent, which is kind of funny that they're leaving that out. There's also like just as many experiences that don't include any of that. There's just as many experiences where just nothing happens, or where they're just floating through space, or they just get cold, or they just whatever, just any kind of like non-religious experience you could think of. People have had it when they're dealing with this near-death stuff. A lot of the things that people do experience regularly is a lot of times it's things like light at the end of a tunnel, and that's easily explained through like the blood leaving your brain. But anyway,
people who have experienced who have had near-death experiences, they actually go to hell. And if you want to hear more about that, you should check out...
They don't I know everybody comes. They don't actually go to hell. This genius thinks they do.
This other video that I did recently, it was a Sean Ryan podcast episode. I think I did this a little while back. I'm going to leave that in the notes for you.
But here's where the corroboration comes in for me. Often they will see things or hear things.
I like what it says for me. Here's where the corroboration comes in for me, where I kind of just, it's like, how do you corroborate this kind of stuff? I never understand it. Like a lot of times they'll say like stories and stuff, and you're just like, okay, that's an interesting story, but how the hell could I verify that story is true? You know what I mean? But anyway, here, well, let him say his stupid story. This is, I don't know if he said it, but Michael Knowles, I guess, had Lee Strobel. Is that his name? Lee Strobel? Anyway, or Lee Strobel. I don't know why I always want to call him Leave. Leave Strobel. Anyway.
So it would have been impossible for them to see or hear had their spirit not actually separated from their body, and they're able to experience this as an out-of-body experience. So I'll give you an example. There was a woman who was dying, taken to the hospital in London, named Maria, I recall. And here she is in the hospital in the emergency room, and she's passed away. But she says later, I was conscious the whole time. And her spirit separated from her body. And she said she met a divine figure. It was like nothing she'd ever experienced. It was overwhelming. But then she said, I was watching.
I bet dying, probably overwhelming, probably some
from the ceiling of the room in the hospital as they were trying to resuscitate my body. So she's watching all this. And then they were able to resuscitate her body. Her spirit returned to her body. And she said, by the way, see the ceiling fan here in this room? There's a sticker, a red sticker on the top of one of the blades. You couldn't see it from the room, but she saw it from her perspective looking down. And she described it in great detail. Well, they got a ladder. They went up. Sure enough, on the top of the blade, and nobody could see from the room, here's a sticker just as she described it.
It's so funny because I've heard exactly the opposite of this story, that there were, which is so funny, because I heard that there were like a bunch of like, you know, like tests or whatever that people put in areas of the rooms to see if anybody would be able to see like stickers on top of stuff. And they put like numbers and things like that as a way to, like, you know, put up some controls for all of these near-death experiences. And of course, there were a lot of people that reported leaving their body, yet none of them reported seeing the stickers and the things like that on top of stuff that they should have been able to see given their perspective. But now that that's all come out, like, hey, and nobody was there. Now there's stories coming out. Oh no, now there was a sticker up there and they didn't even, because it's like, you know, because the actuality was that nobody saw any of the stickers, but they're just starting to make up stories that are like, oh no, but like, hey, let's just use their idea, but like in the other direction.
I don't think any of us truly appreciate how much this happens. How much people's souls leave their body and float up above the activity that's taking place below them. And they observe what's taking place from above.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of stories like this, you know?
Yeah, lots of stories. Yep. Lots of stories about fucking anything. Name it. There's the story about it. Doesn't mean it's true.
Real quick, here's one more story from a great book that collects NDEs and provides source citations for each.
Oh, they provide source citations. So that sounds pretty professional. How did they do that?
The book is called The Self Does Not Die. It's the subtitle's interesting. Verified paranormal phenomenon.
How did they? I wonder who verified it. How was it verified? What was the verification process like? What was any of that?
From near-death experiences. Okay, these are not Christians, the authors, as far as I can tell. Okay, now look at this. Although Jacques was declared clinically dead with
he keeps on saying that too, like throughout like these things. Oh, they're not Christians. They're not Christians. They all believe in God. Like a lot of times they're just not the Christian God. That they still believe in like, you know, NDEs, like in spirits and going to afterlives and all that type of shit. They just don't believe in the specific Christian God.
Without breathing, pulse, or blood pressure. He described a softly spoken phone conversation in the nurse's station that took place in a closed room more than 65 feet from his room. Okay, let me stop here.
Well, apparently they're just following people down. They're just following people down hallways too. You know, they don't even stay in the same room. They're just wherever the action's at. That's like wherever the thing is that they need to observe. That's where they'll be.
Here, so for context, this is the story of Jacques Baranowski, who was killed in a car accident when a bus basically smashed into his small car and ended the lives of everyone in the car. His girlfriend.
You don't need to go through all this. Kind of a downer. Okay, man, you can kind of just say there was a situation, you know, and it wasn't looking like he was going to survive.
His best friend, his best friend's brother, all passed away. This was back in 1981. I think his girlfriend was pregnant too. I mean, it's a tragic story.
Yeah, you didn't need to mention it. Honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about. It actually kind of hurts your perfect loving God thing, but whatever.
And Jacques, at the time, was carried out of the wreckage, taken to the hospital, but he apparently had multiple NDEs, near-death experiences.
Oh, he had like 4 of them. That's right. He had gonorrhea. Wait, what? Oh, never mind. Not gonorrhea. That different, categorically different. I'm sorry.
One of them was in the hospital after Jacques went into cardiac arrest, and the surgeon on duty pronounced him dead. And then the surgeon asked the nurse to call his family, and the nurse would later confirm she walked all the way to the nurse's station, which was 65 feet down the hall from Jacques' hospital room.
Do the amount of feet matter? Is that a thing? He's like, all right, give me a tape measure out. I want to see how far ghosts can walk after they leave the body. Yeah. Let me get, no, let's do it. 60. Okay. Does anybody have a second tape measure? And maybe a third one. This seems like it's actually this is a long hallway, actually.
And shut the door behind her. So this is a closed door. And here's what happened next. Jacques was in bed, watched at all times by the nurse's aide. He reported that during his NDE, he hovered in the closed room at the nurse's station. On awakening, Jacques immediately reported to the nurse's aide what was happening in the closed room, 65 feet away, while nurse Danielle was still on the phone with his biological mother.
What?
When Danielle arrived in his room, he then repeated to her word for word both sides of the telephone conversation between her and his biological mother.
So he was inside the phone, apparently. Like, I guess when you're a spirit, you can hear the phone that's right up. Like, he was just right in between. Like, the lady's face was here, the spirit was right about there, phone's there. Got the whole thing, heard the whole thing from both sides.
Now, what's significant about this part of the story is that Jacques was estranged from his biological mother. And he was actually, when he entered back into his body, he was angry that the nurse had contacted her. And he was calling out to the nurse, stop talking to my biological mother, right? Look, this book is very helpful because...
Hey, I fucking hate that bitch. Don't you dare. Stop calling her. God damn it. Why do I still have her as my emergency contact? That is so stupid. I shouldn't do that.
It will give you all of the source citations. It will show you verified third-party corroboration of NDE accounts where people...
Third party? What the... Wait, how? Like, what third-party corroboration? Fucking, what the hell? How, man? Like... And this is where this stuff gets ridiculous, right? Because all they're doing is recounting a story, and they're just saying that the people involved were like, "Yep, that happened. Totes. That's it. That's the evidence level. There is just, hey, did this happen? Yep. All right, we're good." And it's just, I don't know, especially when it comes to like people that want to believe stuff like this. It's hard to take it seriously because I've literally seen people like reconstruct like memories basically, or just believe that people have told them things that they couldn't have known, that they didn't actually tell them, like psychics, right? They'll sit there and give psychics information without realizing it, right? They're somebody doing a cold reading. They do the same type of shit with this shit. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, and he said that it was this story, then that this happened, and then this part of the conversation, and they're just like, yeah, sure, you know, and they're just like thinking that they're saying stuff they couldn't possibly have known, but it's like they're just feeding them the information. You know what I mean? By accident, or not even by accident, just like acting like they heard stuff they couldn't have known or whatever. But like, I don't know, there's no way to evaluate any of that. You know what I mean? The collection from these people. There's no way of like doing some kind of blind or some kind of control, right? Giving them a couple options or something and then seeing if they pick the right, I don't know, just a bunch of different ways that you could get in the middle of this and see if they're actually being honest about this shit.
People have talked about things they would have never known about. And the best explanation for this is at the end, your soul leaves your body and you are still conscious when it happens.
I don't know, man. I think the best explanation, given what we know exists, people tell stories. People tell stories. That's it. And a lot of people would love to believe that exactly what you said, that happens afterwards, so they can all go be with their loved ones. A lot of people want to believe that. And so stories, they tell stories and they believe stories and they corroborate stories.
That's what Strobel's talking about here in this video.
That's the kind of corroboration I'm looking for. There was a little girl named Katie. I think she was 9 years old. She drowned in a YMCA swimming pool. Her brain had swollen. She had no respiration, no heartbeat, and so forth. They take her to the hospital. She goes to the emergency room. They're keeping her body alive. She's basically dead, but they're trying to, what are they going to do? They don't know yet. Yeah. Just keep her going. She says later, I was conscious the whole time. And I met Jesus during this experience. And the doctors are skeptical. Yeah, of course you did. Tell you what, here's a crayon and a piece of paper. Why don't you draw for us the emergency room that we took you to when you were dead?
Are they supposed to be in an NDE right here? Is that what this is supposed to be? They're like, give me a light at the end of a tunnel, AI. And AI is like you're driving, like a driving tunnel. Is that the kind, like, you know, like the Lincoln Tunnel? Is that what is that cool? Like what? And then This is what AI came up with. Yeah, they got like a tunnel, and but I don't know what the hell this is. What is it? Like a broken satellite fell in the middle of the floor? Maybe that has something to do. I don't know what's happening.
So she draws it just as it appears. But then she said, by the way, when my parents came to visit me in the hospital, I followed them home.
Of course she did. So again, you can just follow people home. My goodness, what the hell is happening? Oh, Jesus. How's everybody doing? Doing okay? It's Wednesday. That's right. It's, hey, thank you. Wow. Rachel, hey, I really appreciate that. That is so awesome. Hell yeah. Gleason gifted 10 Punk Apostate memberships. Holy shit, that is awesome. Thank you so much. That is huge. Hell yeah. But all right. And you get a lot of good use to it out of those because of a lot of these they've been going straight to members after they're live. You know, because that's just something I do sometimes. I'm just like, you know what, that one goes straight to the members, and that's it. But yeah, and just here every so often. I don't know, once a week, something like that. But you also get stuff early when I'm making pre-recorded stuff, which isn't at the moment, but I'm working on stuff. But you get stuff early. You also get members only videos that are just for y'all, and then you get members only live streams that are like once a month so far. Although I'm working on getting more of all of that stuff. But who won? Let's see. Pandora's Pinata. How you doing? What's up? Said, oh, look likes. Wow, dude. What are you doing? Oh, looks like YouTube memory got better. Oh, yeah. No, the names are right. Oh, you're right. Okay, cool. It's like gonna say, it's like, I'm so glad too. I was so confused for like the past, I don't even know how long. Rainbow Ash is second. How you doing? How are you? You like waving? Hey, let's see. And then Andrew. How you doing, Andrew? What's third? So nope, near-death experiences are just dreams. I've had one. They are nothing special. See, exactly. And again, like I have no idea how you verify a lot of the stuff they're saying they have managed to verify. But I would love to see their process, though, of their verification process. You know, Jesus. All right, who else is here? Left-handed Jedi. How we doing, man? Haven't seen you for a minute. Doing all right? It's good to see you. Jasper. Hell yeah. What's up? And then, okay. Hey. Hope I did it right. Let's see. And then we also, Gisela. Of course. How we doing, Gisela? Doing all right? We also got Kent. Hey, Kent. What's up, man? Doing all right? Useless info. So much useless info. Yeah. Well, made up shit is like that, you know. Chrissy. How you doing, Chrissy? Let's see who else we got. Brent. What's up, Brent? Doing all right? It's good to see you. Can I name him Darth Mustache? Yes, you can. You're talking about your penis? You can name him whatever you want. You're going to draw a little mustache on him? Because that would be adorable. And I would, you know, that would be very, very cute. And he's Darth Mustache. You could put a little helmet. Actually, he's kind of already got a little helmet if you're circumcised. Anyway, all right. Now I'm got to move on. Who else is here? And we're demonetized. That's good. David, what's up, dude? Doing all right? It's good to see you, man. Oh, yeah. So wait, I said what? Said I died once and came back. Wow. Was it 3 days later after when you want to cross? And it was 3 days and then you flew away into the clouds? Are you currently watching from the clouds? It's really my question here. All right. Where was here? Moving all the way down to the bottom. All right, now we're good to go. All right, Jill, here we go.
And she described what her mother made for dinner, chicken and rice. She described where her father was sitting and what he was doing. She described how her brother went into his room and was playing with a G.I. Joe Jeep and a G.I. Joe doll. She described what they were wearing, and it all checked out.
Dude, for something like this, and if this story isn't 100% made up, which could easily be the case. But this is the type of thing I'm talking about. When you say like, oh, you know, all the yes-anding, right? Of just this type of stuff. Like if she's like, oh, I saw that you were playing with the G.I. Joe and you were playing with that in the room or whatever. I followed you home and I saw you doing it, right? And the kid's like, yeah, that's so wow. How did you know I was playing with toys? Her little brother plays with toys, you know? And the brother could be like, well, it was a Ninja Turtle and it was a turtle van but they're both green. And you know what? It'd be really cool if there was like a heaven that you could go to afterwards. And so, you know, yes, I'm just gonna say yes, because that's the type of fudging that you'll do because of your desire bias to want to believe something is true like this. You know what I mean?
What do you do?
This is what I mean.
No, that's what I mean. I said
No. NDEs open the door to the unexplained. It's one thing if somebody claims something that cannot be corroborated by third parties, but when they are corroborated, and by
how do you corroborate that, man? This is what I don't get. Like, so what? You just go to the family and ask if that they actually said the stuff and then it was accurate, and the family goes, "Yup, that's the corroboration." Because you know, families could just say "yup" and be done, right? Yeah, it was crazy, or like make up entire stories like that. The Annabelle family weirdos.
people who are, you know, typically skeptics themselves. Look, I don't know about you, but, you know, I don't know a whole lot of doctors and nurses who are Christian. You know what I mean? And I met a lot. I used to work at a hospital. And that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Certainly not doctors for some reason. They're just not Christians, you know? And yet,
the funny thing is, I looked this up, and here, I'll let them.
There's a whole category here that must be explained. Evidence that demands a verdict. Where's Sean McDowell when you need him? Right?
With that.
So, okay, but I thought he gave like some stats. The doctors don't like he said, like most doctors aren't usually Christians, was what he just said. It's like around, I want to say 60% or something like that, 60 or 70% are Christian or something like that. Anyway, but like I looked up the reason why, and it's funny. It's because they all believe in God and they all believe in near-death experiences, I'm sure, because like it's just doctors happen to be other religions more often, which is just kind of funny. Usually, probably, I would say, because of, you know, immigration and stuff like that, they kind of value like doctors. We have a lot of Indian doctors. We have a lot of like Asian doctors, like that, because like they come to the country, you know, and encourage them to go straight to the doctor. Just do the, you know, if you can get in that sucker, do the doctor thing. You know what I mean? And so it's highly, I mean, it's just really common. You know what I mean? So they're still religious. They just aren't specifically Christians.
That tells me that when the Bible talks about the fact that when we die, our spirit separates from our body, to be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord, our spirit separates from our body, and that certainly established.
But they're not, though. That's the funny thing, is he's like, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Yeah, except, well, just give it a minute. Hold on. Sometimes you can follow your fucking family home first, or you can go down the hallway so you can yell at the nurse, call the mom that you hate. You know, like, what the fuck? You know, so I guess not. I guess it's not to be, you know, not present in the body is present with the Lord or whatever.
Just, I think, beyond a reasonable doubt, that at least for some period of time, when a person is clinically dead, they're still conscious. Yes. They're still alive.
You know, that doesn't surprise me at all, even from the standpoint of natural philosophy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're hylomorphic creatures.
God. Okay. No, yeah, of course, we got to go into natural philosophy, because that's where the real evidence is in the just talk so long that your eyes go cross.
Yeah,
body and soul joined together.
That's right.
I totally buy that. But one of my main men, St. Thomas Aquinas, following Aristotle, has
one of my main men. Okay, that's what he said at the gay bar. You know, on a gay holiday of some sort. I don't know, Cher's birthday. I don't know any gay holidays, to be honest.
Well, I think a pretty simply laid out explanation of why the intellect can't be part of your body.
Yeah.
We have this idea in modernity that everything's material,
Right.
And so what I think of as my intellect is just my brain.
Just neurons
firing off. But Aquinas says, well, that can't be the case, because a substance needs to be cannot receive forms that are sort of beyond it.
Yeah.
So like the eye. Without the confusing Aristotelian language, the eye receives color.
Yeah.
The eye can't receive smells. The eye can't receive, you know, textures. It receives color. What does the intellect receive? The intellect receives not only not material things, but immaterial things, abstract ideas.
That's right.
And so it is not possible for the intellect as a body to receive that which is not material. Therefore, the intellect is not material.
Yeah.
And
what the hell are you talking? This is the type of stuff they got to do when you're, and it's funny because they're going straight from like what sounds like actual evidence to that crap. You know what I mean? So yeah. And Aquinas said, you know, that guy that's from like what, like the past century, like when the hell was it, Aquinas? It was a long time ago. And he's talking about like how the intellect, like what, like, because it's got to be physical. I don't even, I think what he's saying is, if something isn't physical, then you wouldn't be able to see it or like experience it or observe it in any way because you're physical. So you have to be a physical thing to observe a physical thing. And if something is not a physical thing, you wouldn't be able to observe it with a physical thing. But anyway, but like, but he's trying to say that's why the intellect is a spiritual thing, which is nonsense, because we know with, you know, we know quite a bit about like why the intellect exists and what processes in the brain function in order for it to exist. And we've literally seen, and I said like personality split, and you know, we've literally been able to mess with people's minds and stuff. Sounds really weird saying it like that, but we've done like experiments on people's brains and been able to like divide the hemispheres and things like that. And so it's absolutely a physical thing, and it changes their personalities. You can like alter their brain chemistry, and it alters their personality, which, why would that happen if it's just a spirit thing inside of a fleshy machine? That would not happen, because the you would still be the you in there, irrespective of if you changed any of the brain matter. This, like, all the brain matter would just like stop your arm from moving or something. You know, it wouldn't change your personality. But anyway,
Knowles went really fast over that. But I think he's onto it. You know, Aquinas was an interesting character.
Actually, boy, that Aquinas, he was quite the character. Yes, he was.
So you need to read more Aquinas. So
because he's not following. He's like, I need to read more about that guy, because I'm actually kind of, well, I'm completely lost on what he's talking about right now.
Aquinas taught that everything has a form. In other words, everything has its organizing principle. And for humans, that's the soul. The soul gives life to the body.
Yeah, philosophy can be it can be such a racket, can it?
When the soul is in the body is enlivened and moves and lives and breathes because it has its form. But conversely, when the soul leaves the body is finished.
Doctors have a God complex. Yeah, I could imagine. You know, they're being out there saving lives and everything, just acting like they're God. You know,
finished. It's done. If you catch my drift, I hate that.
Hey Ryan, how we doing? What's going on?
The YouTube rules. You know what I mean? Like the body breaks down and decomposes.
Hey, Bomb Poppy. How you doing, Bomb Poppy?
I don't want to get too gross. But Aquinas would also...
Please get gross. We were just talking about Darth the mustache penises a second ago, so I think it's cool, man.
Also say that our intellect does something no body part can do. It grasps immaterial universals. This is what Knowles was talking about, receiving. You know, these are abstractions and ideas. These things have no physical substance. You can't trip on them on the way out the door. You know, these are things like justice or equality or love.
Concepts that describe like concepts, basically, about, you know, a lot of which have to do with experiences that humans have had throughout the ages, and we use words to describe those concepts. And so that means what? It's got to be a soul, because how else could you form a concept? Because you should only be able to form things that you can trip over on the way out. I'm lost in his logic, dude. I have no idea what's happening.
I mean, to simply ask what love as a concept means is to engage with the immaterial universal, right? And that's why
what? Hold on. Got something in my eye and it's like throwing me off now.
I mean, to simply ask what love as a concept means.
What does love mean? What do you mean? What does love mean? Love is an experience that humans have because we have, you know, we reproduce, and you know, it helps us do that. We reproduce and we're social creatures. So, you know, love kind of is a word that describes an experience surrounding that stuff.
Is to engage with the immaterial universal. right?
I feel like I cut him off too early. Hold on.
I mean, to simply ask what love as a concept means is to engage with the immaterial universal, right?
Is to engage with the immaterial universal. I feel like these people just get so, they're just like blown away by like non-physical things being able to be concepts that exist metaphysically in your mind. I don't know why that blows them away so badly, but it does.
And that's why the mind cannot just be the brain.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing led. And that's why, like fucking what was the love thing? That was the why? Like seriously? That's how you got from here to now. Now that's why I'm praying through it. Souls are magical ghosts that float inside your flesh. So that's why it has to be that way, because of the universal experience of love. I mean, how else could that happen? You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's because Aquinas says you need a soul to grasp or receive these types of universal ideas about the world that God has made.
Okay. But so what? So he said that. That doesn't mean it's true at all.
But once you realize, yeah, you have a soul, well then, hey, now you need to come to grips with where it came from and what it truly is for, right? Now we're starting to talk about what the Bible teaches.
Okay. Yeah, sure. No, it's like now that I've sold you on the magical ghost that floats in the machine. Now you want to keep that sucker out of hell, right? By the all-loving God that sends those soul floaty things in the flesh. He sends them all to torture dimensions where they just stay there forever.
And I understand that because we just don't even think in that way anymore, there are going to be people who hear that and say, well, I don't know, I'm not totally persuaded.
Yeah.
But that is really sound reasoning, and we've known it for all of history.
And it's very true. For my book, Seeing the Supernatural, I interviewed...
It's not sound reasoning. It's old philosophical. It's old philosophical sophistries, like acting like it's evidence for a God.
Dr. Sharon Diericks,
yes,
a PhD from Cambridge University. And
what's up, Mighty Philbert? How we doing? Hey, Phil. Can I just call you Phil? What's up, Phil?
Neuroscience. So she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And she said, here's a little mind experiment. Because a lot of scientists will say, you're just your brain. Just as you said, you're just a physical brain. And she says, here's why we know it isn't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would say just, okay? Brains are pretty cool, all right? But you are not just your brain. You are your brain plus a bunch of other crap.
First of all, near-death experiences. If just one of those is true, that shows.
Including what you eat. You are what you eat. After like 7 years. If you eat the same thing for like 7 years, then you are that.
Yeah.
But she said, here's a mind experiment. Pretend there's a woman named Mary, and she is the world's leading expert on vision.
Yeah.
She understands how the eye works. She understands how the optic nerve carries impulses to the brain. She understands how the brain processes visions. And so she gets it. She understands the process, but she's blind. What if one day she received her sight? Would she learn anything new on that day?
It's doing the qualia thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, like it's amazing how like the scientific language like disappeared almost immediately. We went like full blown into philosophical language like immediately. We just completely left like peer-reviewed double-blind study type stuff and go straight headfirst into philosophy shit.
I think she would. That shows that the physical brain cannot account for the first-person experience of consciousness.
Yeah, quality, exactly. And Brent was on us.
that we have a separate consciousness or spirit or soul that is distinct from our brain but interacts with our brain.
Yes.
And I thought that was an interesting thought, because of course she would have new information, because that first-person experience is what...
And this is like one of those weird things or whatever, right? And don't they use the word everything? If they know everything there is to know, then like would they know something else? Like would they learn something new if they like experienced it or whatever? Like if you know everything, wouldn't it? Anyway,
consciousness.
I mean, I get that's not, that's a side thing, but it's just kind of a funny way to put it, because like if you say, oh, she knows everything, well then she would know what the experience would feel like. She just couldn't experience it herself, right? But anyway, I don't know.
Provide.
So then
being pedantic.
I love it.
What's up, John? How we doing? We got John and Al. How you doing, Al? What's up, dude?
I love it. If your mind is spinning at the moment, that's okay.
Now, I've heard these things like a billion times, but that's funny how you have to like softball this to your audience, though. It's funny you talk about atheism and skepticism and all this stuff all the time, but yet you have to be like, I know this is very, very confusing, the qualia thing.
That's how we all feel the first time that we engage these types of arguments. You know, what Strobel is talking about is actually a famous thought experiment that illustrates the point very nicely. By the way, I don't know if this is coming across, but there was a time back in the day when I was studying theology that I was thoroughly fascinated with the mind-body problem with epistemology.
It's the three-body problem, okay? And it's totally different.
With basically anything to do with like this branch of philosophy altogether, you know? And what Strobel points out is 100% correct. I think it's J.P. Moreland who pointed out that if materialism is true, then there is no such thing as a supernatural realm, right? Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, wait, what did he say? I always forget.
Correct. I think it's J.P. Moreland who pointed out that if materialism is true,
materialism,
then there is no such thing as a supernatural realm, right? Okay. Everything is matter and molecules, right? But then wait a second.
I don't know. I don't know enough about like the, materialism or whatever. I know like when it comes to like naturalism, which I thought had more to do with the supernatural, but I guess I think materialism might be like a subset of naturalism or something. Anyway, but as far as I understand, it's like the methodological naturalism leaves room for things like this. The supernatural is just saying like you just can't appeal to it until we have like evidence that directly demonstrates that it exists before we start appealing to it. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
It must follow that everything true of the brain, its properties, its states, all of that are also true of the mind. If all there is matter, then it must be that everything that is true of the brain is true of the mind. And
wait, what? Everything? I'm sorry. Let me go back.
True of the mind.
Hold on.
It must follow. Is no such thing as a supernatural realm, right?
Yeah. If there is no such thing as a supernatural realm, I'm following you.
Okay.
Okay.
Everything is matter and molecules, right?
Sure.
But then wait a second. It must follow that everything true of the brain is
everything true of the brain,
properties, its states, all of that are
its properties and its states. Okay.
Also true of the mind.
Are also true of the mind. I mean, what? Man, like I don't understand what the hell. What do you think a mind is and what is a brain? Like, what is the distinction between the two? Because, like, as far as I understand, and I could be way off, the mind is like what we describe ourselves about, like how the functions of the brain feel for us. Am I off on that? Does anybody know philosophy in the chat for this sort of thing? And the brain is the actual thing that causes that experience to come to fruition, right? So I could be way off. It's just, to me, when you say the word mind, it would be like my experience of what is going on. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know what the hell he's like, what he thinks to distinguish, like distinguishes the two. You know what I mean? The mind is what the brain does. The mind is what the brain does. Thank you. Bandor's Pinata. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. The mind is what the brain does. Right. The brain's just the fleshy part that does it. And then the mind would be like the internal stuff that, yeah, exactly, is like calculating and things like that.
If all there is matter, then it must be that everything that is true of the brain is true of the mind, and vice versa. Okay. But wait a second. If we can find one thing true about the mind and not the brain, or vice versa, then the mind is not the brain. Does that make sense?
Not really. No. I feel like, and we're using language here that could so easily be manipulated.
Then that means that they're not the same thing. And this is what Strobel is pointing out. You can take the greatest expert on.
They're not the same thing. Like, I don't think we would say that they are the same thing. They are the mind is the experience that is brought by the brain, but it's not the same thing. Like, what the hell kind of logic is this? This is so absurd.
Hearing
This is like, I feel like this is like one of those fucking, when you imagine like the Greeks or whatever, just sitting around like thinking about thinking. This is like the type of stuff they would come up with.
So this is how I was taught the thought experiment. You can take the world's leading scientist on hearing, and this person was finally able to know every single fact about the physics, the chemistry, how the human body works, consequently the regard to hearing. But say that scientist was deaf. And one day they began to hear for the very first time.
Oh,
that scientist would learn some brand new facts that they didn't know before. And that's what it is like to hear. They already knew everything there is to know about the physical act of hearing, including the brain states and everything associated with that. But the new facts they would learn would not be physical facts. They would be mental facts. These would be subjective. Right? It
would be like just what the experience feels like. But again, if you know everything, then anyway, I know.
Objective experience of.
I get what they're trying to do. You know, it's an interesting thing to think about and all that. But it's just like, anyway.
What it is like to hear or to see or to taste or to touch or whatever. That's an example of a conscious state that is different from your brain states. Therefore, your mind is not your brain. Isn't
professional navel gazing? I like that.
Isn't that fascinating? You know,
or fart smelling. Everybody, the whole thing with the fart smelling thing lately is kind of weird. I don't know if I like that term. I kind of, you know, it sends my mind somewhere completely different.
I do. I love this. You know, it's a great video, and it wasn't too long because here's what the takeaway is for you. Right here's the punchline: atheists and skeptics who claim that the only thing that exists is the material. Matter and molecules, right? The mind is the brain, law of identity, all of that.
I mean, that's all we have evidence for. But okay.
What is their explanation for these pieces of evidence?
What pieces of evidence? You haven't. Okay.
Because let's face it, there is a list of third-party corroborated NDEs out there.
Oh, the NDE evidence. Okay. What is the explanation? People make up stories. And then people also nod along with those made up stories. We've literally seen people do this. I don't know why this is such a difficult thing to understand, you know, that people would make up stories that they have a desire bias toward wanting to be true. And then everybody kind of just nods along in agreement. We've seen things like cults and stuff where they, you know, people will basically just put their critical thinking on the shelf so that they can just nod along to whatever the fucking cult leader or whatever the, you know, wants them to think. But yeah, people make up stories, man. That's the explanation right there. It's pretty obvious. You just saying that, oh, it's been corroborated and it's, you know, third party tested, whatever the fuck that means. Like, how do you even do that? How do you third party test an NDE? But I mean, you could ask the doctor and stuff like that, but how am I supposed to trust that you actually did that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. These stories are always written by Christians who are just notorious for being dishonest about shit, especially when it's for shit like this, because it's almost like they know that their shit is bullshit, so they have to just lie to get whatever, you know, to make themselves feel better about the thing that they'd like to think.
That are well documented and studied, not by Christians.
Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Now, some are Christians. Okay, Gary Habermas has done work on this. I think
I love it. See, hold on. Let's
corroborated NDEs out there that are well documented and studied, not by Christians. Now, some are Christians.
Okay, Christians. Yeah, Christians. Okay, I mean, the guy that wrote that book was a Christian. And a lot of the other ones are. They're all religious, though, man.
Okay, Gary Habermas has done work on this. I think JP Moreland has done work on this as well.
I don't think you're going to find like a neuroscientist that's like, yeah, dude, I wrote a book about how, you know, near-death experiences prove that we got a soul, man. So
I think they wrote a book called Beyond Death's Door. I think I have that over there. So don't hear what I'm not saying. Christians are involved in some of this.
But you say don't hear what I'm not saying. Hold on.
I think JP Moreland has done work on this as well. I think they wrote a book called Beyond Death's Door. I think I have that over there. So don't hear what I'm not saying. Christians are involved in.
You did say don't hear what I'm not saying. Hey, that's physically not possible.
Some of this, but it's not just Christians who are recognizing that there is.
Hey, Kyle, how we doing, man? Doing all right?
More to us than mere flesh. we have souls. And that is the best explanation for these kinds of NDEs.
No, people telling stories is like, holy shit. I mean, if we were to play the game of what's more likely, what do we have evidence for? Do we have evidence for a magical spirit realm of any kind that's objectively verifiable and by any like real metric of objectively verifiable? Like it, or do we have evidence of people lying, people making up stories? Oh, we do have tons of evidence of that shit. Way more than the thing we don't have any evidence for, which is the spiritual realm. So yeah, I feel like the making up stories thing and just saying that they corroborated stuff is a lot more likely.
You know?
I do know, actually. So
in terms of scripture,
oh God. Oh, here we go.
Well,
the book with the talking donkey has a few things to say. Look at this. Look at this verse that says it's look soul right there. It says it.
Take a look at this. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. Remember also your creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near. So in other words, remember God before you get old, you know, before the aging process starts to take over, right? That's what it means for the evil days to come.
What? Remember also how does this have anything to do with souls? What?
And the author goes on to paint a picture of this aging process. And finally, he says, verse 7, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it.
There we go. Okay. Oh, we made it. All right. Now, okay, that part does kind of have something to do with souls, the word spirit here. So good job for, tying a fucking bow on this shit.
Okay. So clearly we have a picture of a man as both body and soul, right?
Yeah, as put forth by the Talking Donkey book. Yeah, got it.
Fast forward to Jesus, and he says something dire, but also affirms the biblical view here, right? Matthew 10:28. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul.
Oh.
Rather fear him who...
You're supposed to say, fear what? Or who cannot kill the what? The soul. That's right, everybody. I hate it when people do that. I don't know why, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. Don't ask what. Especially if nobody's fucking around and it's just a camera on you. Don't ask what. Just say the thing. Okay.
Who can destroy both soul and body in hell. All right.
Yeah. They're loving God you got there, dude. I just want to throw that out there. Apropos of nothing. Loving God you got there.
The Bible is clear about this. You are more than your body. You are a soul. And it began with God breathing onto the dust and animating the first man back in Genesis. Okay, this is who we are.
Is he a young earth creationist? It's just like, no, God did just kind of form up the dust there a little bit and then went and breathed on it. And that's the dude popped into existence. And then he made a bunch of animals for him to have sex with. And then he was like, hold on, let me just make another one of him. And then he can have sex with that. And then the animals would just be for other stuff. They want it anyway.
And the sooner we can truly appreciate that, the easier it is for us to understand what we're supposed to do here on this planet. Amen.
God, that's so sad. When you say that, like, oh, it's easier for us to understand what we're supposed to do here on this planet. Right there's the manipulation, 100%. That is just so easy to manipulate people with. Be like, wouldn't you like to know what you're supposed to be doing? Because I actually luckily, I know the God of the fucking universe. And so I can tell you what he wants. If you're interested, if you actually want to know what life's actually all about, just listen to what I got to say about it.
Anyway. All right. That's enough out of me. Now it's your turn. What do you think about near-death experiences? Are they good?
I don't think I think they're just literal experiences that people have when their brain is not functioning right, because the brain's not functioning right. And so whatever experience they get out of that, I would not trust it that it is indicative of anything that is real.
Good evidence for Christianity, or just too plumb weird to consider?
Definitely not. What? Too plumb weird. What?
Anyway. All right. That's enough out of me. Now it's your turn. What do you think about near-death experiences? Are they good evidence for Christianity, or
no?
Just too plumb weird to consider? Let me know in the comments below.
Just too plumb weird to consider. What the hell kind of lingo does this guy have? he says stuff that makes it sound like he's like got like a like he should have like a Southern drawl of some sort, but it's not. It's not. Or is that a British? I don't know. Is that a Britishism? I guess it could. It's too plumb weird. I don't know. It could be. It could be a Britishism.
I am curious to get your thoughts. As always, if you enjoyed the insights, you're going to love the Patreon community. You got to go check it out. You've heard me talk about this many times before. I'm doing a lot over there. It's exclusive only to the patron supporters. So go check it out. I think.
What's up, Greg? How we doing, man? I don't know about I don't know about evil as good, and evil are subjective. But people do tend to go Republican with age. You know. I don't know what the evil and good. Ember, hey, Ember, how you doing? I didn't even see that. I don't really know exactly. I guess there might be some kind of conversation going on in the chat there, but now, yeah, evil and good are definitely subjective. You know, it's just kind of. But I think that a lot of times we'll say stuff like something is blatantly evil if we are pretty sure that everybody would agree. You know what I mean? We're like, that is evil, but it's usually not that cut and dry. Anyway,
I think you'll enjoy it. The link for Patreon is below. If you are a student of God's Word, you should check out Logos.
Student of God's Word. Shut the fuck.
And go take a look at Wise Disciple /Logos, because over there, I also give my book recommendations. So if you're somebody who wants to go deep and read.
And if you want to go deep, that's right. Just go to adamandeve.com and you can go. Where is it? There it is. Go to adamandeve.com and you can go as deep as you like. Right? Go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brently. That's Brently at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Brently. Yeah, and you can go as deep as you want. They got like literally, they got stuff that can go all the way up in there. I don't even know. I don't know how deep is legally allowed. But I think they drive right up to that line and park it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brently. All right. Let's see what else I got here. Let me see. Because, where was it? Apparently it was like another Elon Musk feud. It's really weird that I get way too much of my news from reacting to fucking right-wing shit. So now I'm like, constantly, you know, I have to like go verify everything like after the fact. 9 times out of 10, the Republicans are making shit up, but it's just kind of funny that this is usually the first place that I hear about stuff, and I'm like, well, what happened? And then I have to go back and check on it. It's like I said, usually wrong, or it's like usually slanted in the craziest way possible. Let me see. We also got, damn it, where'd it go? There's this. Oh, there it is. Okay, so one of the guests, or I said guests, one of the chatters was saying the other day that there was a really good debate between Cenk Uygur and of TYT fame, right, and Crystal Ball and I can't think of his name. The blonde guy. That style makes no sense at all. But and apparently it's him. This guy. Yeah. Anyway. He is just, his style throws me. I don't know what are you doing? I'm so confused by it. Here, look at it.
Totally wrong.
You're totally wrong. All right, but yeah, and we were talking about reacting to this. So I think we can maybe spend the rest of the thing doing that. But you know, if you're a member though, use your member powers. And if you want to switch away, I'm totally game for it. But let's see what's going on first. Hold on, let me get past the jump ahead button. Okay.
Oh, you want to explain? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Cenk reached out to Kyle and I this week.
Kyle, that's his name. A secular talk. Kyle, not cosmic. Cosmic Kyle's, that's different Kyle. Okay. His style actually does make sense. Okay. And he looks at the cosmos and takes pictures and puts them on Facebook and stuff. It's awesome. Anyway, yeah, this what no, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to comment.
Hey, think we've got some things to talk through. Can I, you know, let's have a conversation. So we said, sure, let's do that. And this kind of follows on the heels of a discussion / debate that you and I had.
Okay, Rainbow said save time for Gina. Fair enough. We'll save some time. I actually saw a couple of Gina's drop earlier, so yeah, we could do. we'll save the ending for that. How about that?
Back in December, where, you know, the launching point, and you can, you know, correct me if you don't think that this is a fair characterization of this conversation, but the launching point was a tweet that you had put out expressing some optimism about the Trump administration. So we can put that tweet up on the screen.
Okay, so I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election, even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is the extreme left. Well, that's nice for you to put that out there, as if those two things are co-fucking equal. What the hell? Anyway, my mortal enemy is the establishment. Okay, and they have been defeated. So you don't have any more mortal enemies now? We're good. We're good.
From Cenk, to refresh everybody's memory about where we started. So you said in November 29th, 2024, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. Even though I was so against the guy who won, I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. So over the course of that conversation, you explained to me that the reason you felt optimistic was really two reasons. Number one, as you say there, the establishment was defeated. And number two, you felt that the elements of the populist right and
Brent says Cenk lost it. I mean, are you saying just in general? Or are you saying in this conversation? Because it could go either way. Because I agree with you either way. Probably. Actually, I haven't seen this yet. I was saving it for you guys. But yeah, he has lost it.
and the bros would hold Trump accountable, and it kind of built to this crescendo where he actually turned to the camera and said, "Listen, guys. In a little while, you're going to be able to say whether I was right or whether Crystal was right. Let's go ahead and play that portion as a refresher. That is element number 2.
I want to address something to the audience. Can I?
Sure.
Is this my camera here? Okay, yeah. So right-wing populists, it is now your job to prove Crystal wrong.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon. And
Andrew said the last line always gets me. Like, what the fuck, Cenk? Lay off the crack. It's whack, yo. it's whack. No, wait, the last line. That the establishment have been defeated. Is that what you're saying? Because that is pretty fucking hilarious. Seeing as like they're both establishment. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Where he's like, the establishment has been defeated, when both the right and the left are the establishment. It's just like the right just likes to pretend like it's also not, which is just absurd.
that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacularly right? Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Crystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist and say, oh, I was a sucker, those guys were liars?
Yeah, but you were. If you believe that Trump is anything other than a liar, then yeah, you're a sucker, dude.
All they want to do was increase the Pentagon, have more wars, more corruption, and they never held Trump accountable. We waited for,
and that's very clear that they definitely want more wars.
4 long years for them to hold him accountable, and all they did was kiss his ass and show that they don't really believe in freedom. They said all this stuff about freedom, but they never meant it. They said all this stuff about drain the swamp, but they never meant it. They said all this anti-war stuff, but they never meant it.
Grissy said that Cenk went from sounding like he knew what he was talking about to sounding like a toddler. That is just, that's funny you said that, because like I always thought it was weird, and it honestly, watching TYT always made me feel a little bit better, like back in the day, because I was like, boy, I am too much. I need to like tone down all the all the goofball voices and shit. And then I'd like turn on TYT and oh, can't do it, of course. And I'm like, I'm good, I'm fine. It's, you know what, I'm actually not that. I'm like not even what, I'm 10% of whatever the fuck that shit is. You know what I mean?
We're going to come back on here in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, and we're going to keep doing a check.
So, Cenk, that was kind of the
he was like covering his mouth. That's what it looked like.
Context of that discussion. And just for the audience and for you, since there's 2 of us and 1 of you, and we don't want to be like jumping on all over each other, and maybe Kyle and I have disagreements on things, I thought.
And if you want to jump all over each other, go to Adam and Eve. Enter that code word Brentley at checkout to go. Okay, we just did one. I'm sorry, but enter the code Brentley. The main important thing is code word Brentley. All right, moving on. Sorry.
I would kind of handle the first 30 minutes more or less. Kyle would handle the second 30 minutes. You've got a engagement you've got to go to, hard out in an hour, so that's the amount of time that we have.
We could do this for 4 hours if we had the time.
I'm sure we could, and it would be painful for all involved. But in any case, we've got a hard out for Cenk in 1 hour. We want to be very respectful of it.
I like because he's like, and this sucks, so we don't want to add to that.
It's time. So with everything that's happened in Trump 2.0, do you still feel that original optimism that you expressed at the time, do you still feel that was well-founded?
Absolutely. And part of the reason I wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm being genuine about it.
I just can't help it. I just always am insulting. It's not my fault. It's just what thank you. Amber said I'm on it with the ads today. Thank you. I know a lot of times I forget.
And so, and Chris, I went back and watched our conversation from back then.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Yeah, you kept saying like things against Trump. And that's why I didn't even think it was a debate. It was a discussion because I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you on Trump and the Republicans, et cetera. I was talking about the populist right and the independents that voted for Trump, the actual voters. And you saw it in that clip. I don't address.
Unlike the MAGA people that are not actual voters. They're not even really people if you think about it. What the fuck?
That's Trump. I don't address any Republicans. I address the voters. So what has happened since then? Joe Rogan has come out against what Trump has done with Mahmoud Halil, with Abrego Garcia. Almost all of the MAGA hosts have come out against the war, ranging from Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon. Then you've got the politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That is not true. That is weird that he says it. No, yeah. Tucker Carlson, I don't know what Tucker is doing lately, but it's been kind of funny actually just to see him go against all of the Republicans and do anything. But no, they have like a divide, I think, in their side, and they have like an anti-war, and then they have like the reasons for being against war, and they disagree as to like why, and it's isolationist or what. Anyway, but like there's still a shitload of Republican commentators that are just saying that the war was cool, and it's actually they needed to do that, and and they just kissed Trump's ass even more, even though I guarantee you could like find them saying, hey, and Trump was a no war president, which I think is pretty great, like a year or two ago, and they just about face without thought all the time.
You've got Tim Dillon. I'm not sure you can name a right-wing MAGA host or independent host that's for the war in Iran.
Stephen Crowder, pretty sure, and Tim Pool.
So I'm genuine.
Well, Tim Pool is both for it and against it somehow, but that's he manages to have that position way more often than you think is possible.
I'm only curious, like, are you guys not seeing that, or does that somehow magically not count?
So, Cenk, I have the same question as to whether or not you're on planet Earth, because first of all,
let me right back at you with your insult. So
let me ask you this question. Do you think that Trump 2.0 is better or worse than Trump 1.0?
Trump is irrelevant.
No, he's not irrelevant because I'll tell.
What? How is Trump? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was what y'all were literally just discussing. What? Okay. What's up, Alex? How you doing? Full frontal investigation. See how we doing, dude? It's good to see you, man.
I'll tell you why. Here's why. You expressed optimism about how all this would go. And the reason you were optimistic is because, hold on. No, we just saw your tweet, okay? The reason you were optimistic
I can explain the tweet.
is because...
I'm going to say that the tweet didn't mean what the tweet said. I'm going to do the Christian thing about the Bible and just say that the words aren't words.
You thought these various groups and influencers would hold him accountable. So did they constrain his behavior, for example, when Elon Musk was running around with a chainsaw, slashing Social Security and gutting the federal government and gutting the CFPB? No, we didn't. In fact,
hey, my mental decline is fine. Okay. It is actually far slower than it should be given the years of drugs and alcohol. Thank you very much. God damn it. What? Oh, you're not talking. Oh, about Trump? Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, Left-Handed Jedi.
We saw Joe Rogan host Elon Musk, not to mention Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Andreessen, to make the case for those things, okay? No accountability there. Did we see them constrain his behavior and hold him accountable when he launched a crypto shitcoin, the most corrupt
crypto shitcoin? Can we get that? That's a punk band right there. That's good. That's, or crap. I guess you could put crap, because I don't know if you can have foul language in the actual band name if we're going to make a shirt out of it, because that's what we do around here. If we hear something that sounds like a punk band name, that's going to be a shirt at some point here soon.
In American history, most likely. No, he did it. He's faced no accountability for that. You mentioned some dissent from Rogan on the kidnapping of college students off of college campuses. Is it the right that organized in opposition to that? No, it's the left and it's liberals. The only time that Trump's actions have been constrained at all in this Trump 2.0 era, which is vastly worse than I even expected when you and I had that conversation. I mean, we've got men in hundreds of people in a concentration camp. I didn't see any accountability from the right on that. I don't see any accountability from the right on an American city that is right now under invasion by our own troops, Marines on the ground in the city of LA. No, I don't see any accountability there. I see an administration that, as I predicted, the guardrails are completely off. And the only places where he has been constrained at all is when the left and liberals organized against Elon Musk, Tesla protests, showing up at town halls, etc., made him toxic. He had to be turfed out of the administration. And in the context of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, when you had mass left liberal resistance, even pushing Democratic leaders who were lame and weak to do something, Chris Van Hollen goes...
I love it. Everybody's just like calling it what it is these days. So it's like the Democratic leaders, they fucking suck and do nothing right. They're spineless pieces of shit. Anyway.
Down to El Salvador. And the administration did something they did not want to do, which was to bring him back. That is the only time this administration has been constrained. It has had nothing to do with the right, had everything to do with liberals and the left organizing against him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
God damn, he's such a dick. Yeah, that's hilarious because it's so stupid. That's how funny it is. It's funny because it's so stupid. Anyway, now let me drop some knowledge on you, Crystal.
You asked about 12 questions. I would love the time to answer it, but you didn't actually answer my question. Do you see a massive MAGA revolt against the war? And I'm being genuine. It's a literal question. Or do you...
Emerson, the shit coin is worth 0.000 3 zeros 88872. Awesome. That's awesome, man. I should have bought stock in that shit. Whatever, however it works. I don't know.
You just not see it.
Jenk, here's what I can tell you. Okay, Charlie Kirk, your buddy. He has already.
Not my buddy.
He has already gone. He's
That's
already
a ridiculous
gone.
Thing to say.
He's already gone from. He's already gone from being critical of the Iran war to guess what? He got a call from the White House, and now what he's saying? What's he saying? Oh, I trust Trump. Trump is the man for this moment. I know he's.
That was another one I should have mentioned. Charlie Kirk, who like did another like a full about face. And in case anybody is not familiar, which fair enough if you're not into this type of stuff, Jake went on Charlie Kirk's like tour or whatever. He was on stage at one of their tours to play the liberal prop or whatever to do the debate or whatever. And he was just, it was, oh God, it was just one of the most disappointing things to see because he was like, he was trying so hard to find common ground with these asshats. But if you ask him about like the far left or whatever, he'll lose his mind and go off about how they're just the worst and they're ruining everything and all this shit. But with Charlie Kirk, just need, we got some common ground. Let's talk about the common ground. And it's like, my God, it's crazy the vitriol that he has for the far left versus what he has for the far right.
Going to make the right decision.
The exact
Steve
quote
Bannon.
is.
Go
Can I
ahead.
give the exact quote?
Yeah.
This is from Charlie Kirk. Quote: "We must trust Trump in this situation." Go ahead with Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. Hold on. Steve Bannon.
This could just be like, he could just have this tweet just saved that he can just hit like send randomly Doesn't matter what's going on. You could just always. This is always going to be. This is just the Charlie Kirk tweet here. It's like, just in general, we gotta trust whatever he says. I am a mindless minion.
And put up element number 4. This is the Financial Times today. Steve Bannon says, if the president, as commander-in-chief, makes a decision to do this, the MAGA movement, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the
Chrissy's his voice, Charlie Kirk's voice is almost, I like that you said almost, as annoying as Ben Shapiro's. Almost. Just damn, photo fucking finish. If voices could run races, photo finish.
Matt Gaetz's, we will fight it up till the end. But if he has more intelligence and makes that case to the American people, the MAGA movement will support President Trump. When Trump says that he gets to define what America first is, he's right about that. And so when you have Bannon, who also was critical of Elon Musk originally and got a call from the White House and said, cut it out, and he bent the knee, these people time and time again, Cenk, all they do is ultimately when Trump makes the decision, they bend the knee. We are already far enough into this administration to know there has been no constraint on his action that has come from the right. None. And we're in a war with Iran. Okay. We are already in a war with Iran. They didn't constrain him here. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do.
Okay. So you guys just spoke for like 8 minutes doing a
Oh my God, shut the oh wow. I hate it when people do that. That is like just if ever any of y'all are in debate, don't ever talk about how long people just talk. Just say your thing, man. Holy shit.
Oh man. Okay. So you make it sound, and this is what's so harmful. You guys make it sound like I'm pro-Trump and I think that MAGA is just a bunch of angels who are secretly left-wing and they're going to magically agree with us on every issue. And the minute that Trump does something wrong, they're going to all push back 100%. And that's what I believed. I believed in rainbows and unicorns. Of course not, Crystal. Of course not.
Well, rainbows exist, and I think Ash would agree that rainbows do actually exist. In fact, you probably should believe in rainbows. It's why you probably want to switch up that saying, because I feel like that's not accurate as to what you're trying to communicate.
Well, you're trying to move them. Moving the other side is super hard. And so when you see something, anything where they actually agree with us, you have to encourage that. So when you say all the things that you said, is Trump a bad guy? Of course.
Of course. There it is. Catchphrase. Of course. There it is. All right, John, take it easy, my friend. Thanks for hanging out.
Of course. So if you're listening out here, guys, the framing of all of this is totally wrong. Like, we're having a conversation. Oh, do you think Trump's a bad? Of course I think Trump's a bad guy. He's totally authoritarian. That's why I voted against him. That's why I worked so hard against him. So even the framing makes me like...
Yeah, you're like trying so hard constantly to like find common ground with those people. Mainly, again, because this is what it is really, is they got called out by the left. They got called out by the left and they couldn't handle it. They were just like, how dare you say that we said something wrong? Okay. And they also do that thing where they're like, I am so objective that, look, I even agree with Trump here. If he's right, he's right. And we'll say it because that's how objective it. Go fuck yourself. I hate it when people do that shit because it's just like, they don't get that the right uses them for that type of stuff. You know what I mean? They're like, oh no, you got your brain in your little bubble. And so you can't even, you have to agree with me on one thing. Otherwise you got your brain in the bubble. It's like, no, you can be wrong about literally everything. And I still don't have my brain in my bubble or whatever. You can actually be wrong about everything. I don't have to agree with you to prove to you that I am being objective or whatever. It's fucking stupid.
Sound defensive when you guys started with a premise that's out in la-la land. We totally oppose Trump. So now the second part of the premise that's totally wrong is, do I think that MAGA is going to revolt on every issue against Trump from day one? Why? Why would they? They love Trump. Of course not. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for, is there one or two issues where there is actual agreement? And can we take that agreement and do something interesting to restrain Trump in those issues? So when you talk about immigration...
And so when has that worked?
Okay, hold on. Well, we're in the middle of it.
Well, hold on. Now I'm doing a shit because the answer is never.
Right now. So I'll tell
we're
you
at war with Iran, Cenk.
It's gonna work as soon as we all hold hands and sing a song around a Christmas tree, and then his heart will grow 3 sizes bigger back to normal again.
Hate to break it to you. We're at war with Iran. It didn't work.
Okay. So, Crystal, let me finish. So when you talk about immigration and all the things that he's terrible on, I know what MAGA's movable on or not. I talk about it on the Young Turks all the time. If you think you're going to move them on immigration, you
Hey, Bree, how's it going?
are nuts. They're not going to move it.
Yeah, their racism kind of is front and center, isn't it?
On immigration. So I fight him tooth and nail on that dungeon in El Salvador that they're sending people to, the Marines in the streets. Now, there's some issues like immigration where they haven't moved an inch and they never will move an inch, right? There's some issues like the Marines in the streets where a smattering of them are like, this is a little uncomfortable. It feels a little unconstitutional. It doesn't feel quite right. Those libertarian wing, remember.
A little unconstitutional to not have any due process at all, without any way of even knowing if they actually even are what they ICE claimed they were in order to get them to a prison outside the country.
So guys, this is super important. There's 77 million people that voted for Trump, right? If you treat them all the same, you will not be able to win elections. Why is winning elections important? Because that is how you take power away from Trump.
If you treat all 77 million people the same, you won't win elections. What are you talking about, man? Like, we don't win elections based on how we treat the people or whatever. We win elections based on actually good candidates running and winning and doing, not folding over backwards every 2 seconds like all the Democrats have been doing.
Away from the Republicans. So if you treat all 77 million as hardcore MAGA, you're going to push them away and they're going to vote against you. You can say, oh, no, but it makes me feel better. I have emotional release and my audience likes me more.
You're right. That was what Crystal was about to say. She was going to say, but my feels. What the fuck are you talking about?
Because I seem like I'm tougher on Trump. I was so mean to him. Yeah, but did that persuade anybody? I called all of his voters fascists. Yes, but did that persuade anybody? You're trying to persuade the people in the middle to come to your side. So what are the issues?
Oh, see that, and that right there is like what they think. That's the name of the game, it seems, right there for them. That they're like middle people, the middle people are who we're going after, and that's why we're agreeing with the MAGA people on a couple things, not everything. Just a couple things, just enough to sound fucking delusional, but whatever, it's fine.
Where we've got a fighter's chance. War. Okay. So now, do I think that on day one, they were all going to flip and then act and be successful in stopping all of the establishment, all the neocons? And by the way, were we successful? We were not successful in stopping any of them during Biden or any other Democratic administration either. Right?
Everybody's pretty sure 47's heart is enlarged. All that much, all that cholesterol and everything. It's all that McDonald's. It's not good. It's not good for your heart, man. It's too much salt. Too much salt.
Right?
You got to drink water. Amber, are you drinking water? You drinking a lot of water? You got to drink water. Makes up like our whole body or something.
So now there's a giant full-blown revolt from MAGA against this war. Now, if you're saying, no, I don't see Tucker Carlson, Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Posobiec, Cernovich, Candace Owens, etc., all of them opposed to the war. But you might not, because a lot of people watch programming that honestly just kind of gives them a misleading sense of what's happening.
Did you see Tucker, Trump saying, Tucker called me to apologize. He said he went too far. Did you see Steve Bannon saying, we're all going to fall in line? Ultimately.
Oh my God.
So I'm not talking about, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the however many million Americans voted for Trump, some of whom are hardcore MAGA, and you will never move them. And I guarantee you, the moment that Trump says, this is the policy, they're going to say, you're right, sir, this is the policy, this is brilliant, and I am on board. Are there independents that can are there independents that can be moved? Yes. There are two separate questions here. Okay. Number one is we are in hell right now. Like, the level of damage that has been done to this country, done to the world from Trump 2.0 already is astounding. So the number one thing is triage, right? How do we stop?
That's what I'm doing.
How do we stop as much damage as we can?
Wow.
And the track record thus far in the Trump administration is the only time he has been constrained is through the left and liberals banding together and going through the court system and public pressure. That's
like,
it.
No, you got to band together with the right, and then that's how you stop stuff, which has never ever happened ever. Jesus Christ, Pandora's. It's like, drink water, what, like animals?
That's all we've seen in this administration.
Reminds me of like idiocracies. What do you mean, like in the toilet?
The other question is, how do you win elections? So go ahead and address that, and we can talk about the election piece. But real quick, before you get in, you know, as to the earnestness.
What's up, Jordan? How we doing? It's good to see you.
Of this MAGA anti-war movement, put element number 3 up on the screen. Do you know?
What element 3? God damn it, Kevin. Put the element 3 on the fucking screen. God damn it.
Oh, tell me, how many Republicans have signed on to the War Powers Resolution?
Kevin's everywhere, messing stuff up.
Is Marjorie Taylor Greene? No. Is Lauren Boebert there? No. 1, Thomas Massey, a libertarian who is, you know, ideologically consistent, kind of similar ideologically to Dave Smith. Every other person here is a Democrat. So to the earnestness of this anti-war MAGA coalition and their commitment to blocking war with Iran, here is where the rubber meets the road. You have one Republican who is already at odds with Trump.
What's crazy to me, and I'm sorry to cut off in the middle of a thought, but what's crazy to me is that we've seen what the Republicans do. They will railroad everything. The second they have power, they railroad everything, right? And they never reach across the aisle. They don't give a shit about the centrists that may or may not vote in favor with them. They do not care. They consolidate power and then they use it immediately and to the full force that they possibly can, blurring as many constitutional lines as humanly fucking possible, it seems. But the left, or I shouldn't say the left, the Democrats will be sitting there like reaching over the aisle, trying to be like, oh no, we gotta show that we're in earnest. You know? But like, we could get stuff done the exact same way if we would just do like what she's saying and have the Democrats and the far left, like whatever, like come together and actually go against them and consolidate power and blast them the same fucking way they do us.
Who is willing to put his name on this War Powers Resolution? That's it.
So, Crystal, look, I know you don't mean it, but you keep conflating two things. The Republican politicians, including Trump, and the Republican voters, or the people who voted for Trump, okay? So are the Republican politicians corrupt? Of course they're corrupt. Are they going to say, hey, Israel, I'll be your bitch, and I'll do whatever the hell you want me to do?
I'll be your bitch.
Of course they
don't say bitch like that. It's just, I'm offended. Okay, I don't know why. Anyway,
they're completely owned by Israel. Okay, so AIPAC, etc., the warmongers. By the way, let's be honest, is more than half the Democratic Party totally owned by AIPAC? Yes.
Well, okay, so Brent said the liberals are not going to band together with the left, but that's and to their own demise, and that's what we're seeing. You know what I mean? Like that. That's why. It's that is the problem. Is the liberals won't go left and work with the left. They blame them for everything, mainly because they're taking super PACs too. Almost as much as I'd say on the right. If it's as much on the right, but like it's just slightly different. But anyway,
right. So I know. Oh my God! Oh no! You can't be honest. You have to just say the other side is terrible and our side is angels. No, I'm not going to play that.
Would you rather? Nonsense. But would you rather be on the side of the?
Drizilla's like speaking over a woman, but I didn't go. I didn't go. Shh, 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 shh. I didn't do that though, which would have been really offensive. Hold on. Let me go back to Crystal.
Oh no! You can't be honest.
Now you got me feeling.
You have to just say the other side is terrible and our side is angels. No, I'm not going to play that.
Would you rather? Nonsense. But would you rather be on the side of the 37 who signed onto the War Powers Resolution,
Crystal,
or the
I am on the side of the 37. Everything you frame is a straw man. I am on the side of the 37. In fact, Ro Khanna is my top ally. Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna and I had the same exact strategy that you criticized in November when we talked.
That's not true.
You literally put me, and Kyle did the same thing. You guys put me in the same bucket as Bernie and Ro, reaching out to see if we can find agreement on the right.
What else?
Hold on. Chrissy said my kiddo was telling me yesterday that Elon is thinking about making a new political party. I'm just hoping if he does that he fractures MAGA enough for progress to win. Yeah, that would be awesome. And it's funny how because like I guess they're in another feud or whatever, right? They're constantly in a love-hate relationship, it seems. They're just in an abusive relationship with one another that just won't end. But it's funny how like he knows exactly how to piss him off, because like that would fuck everything up, I think, if you were successful at it, like you're saying, fracturing the Republican Party. Because like, just starting some third party, they know it just, once you split the powers like that, you're done, because if it's not split just between the two, it's over,
What else has Bernie done? What else has Bernie done that has been profoundly impactful? The anti-oligarch, the Fight Oligarch tour, which was an effort to bind together the left and the liberals to.
That's what I do for a living. Is that what Cenk just said? Shut the fuck. It's crazy how he can like vilify the left constantly, the leftists and everything, and then like talk about how Candace Owens had some good ideas. But then is trying to act like he's does it, goes against the oligarchs for a living.
Protest and to resist this administration, and that has been profoundly more impactful.
Having a conversation with a person who isn't here.
Did the Pentagon budget get cut? Just tell me that. What's the Pentagon budget? Did it get cut?
You've now asked me 28 questions.
Did Don Jr. Did he do whatever with the generals?
I like how she's just gonna keep going. She's like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and act like you're saying what you're saying.
That work out?
All right, guys, look, I came on here because look, you're
already crying.
Fair. So
already crying. Holy shit, man. It's amazing how he just can't. It's just like he can't handle just any kind of straightforward criticism.
So you asked me 28 questions, and then let me answer them. So and stop framing it as if I'm a different person. You keep making all these assumptions about who I am. Oh, are you on the Republican side or the Democrat?
I'm literally citing things that you said, Cenk. Like I played your clip of what you said.
Christ,
turn to the camera.
Okay.
It's like they can't handle. It's like they want it. He wants to do this thing where he's like moving to the right because I think he thinks that's like where the culture is going or whatever. And so he's trying to at least get in on the ground floor so he's not too far left when, but it's. And then he wants to sit there and try to jump back whenever it's pointed out to him. And then it's like, dude, it doesn't work, man. She's just showing you your own clips. And you do say a bunch of fucking right-wing shit. It's insane.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Crystal, I'm right here. I'm right here. Can I talk for myself instead of you?
You specifically held on the Pentagon budget.
At this point, borderline lying about me in every framing of every question. Can I
actually
be a human being named
How am I lying?
This is so weird.
Tell me how I'm lying.
Questions instead of you framing
Tell me how I'm lying,
as a
Cenk.
person that doesn't exist.
Wow, he is like freaking out, and he can't say any specifics. It's just you're lying about me. It's like, okay, how? Go on, and he just won't.
Cenk,
Okay.
I played the clip of you talking, so tell me how I'm lying.
Okay. All right. So now, of all your questions, you have this fantasy land.
This is South Park Canadian at this point. Just a floating top job. I don't even know how to describe it.
That Trump was like, oh, the left thinks Abrego Garcia's, I've treated him wrong. I surrender, left. Come on, what planet do you live on? No, the courts are not left or right. The courts have held. I'm thrilled that the courts have held. And it was so important for the courts to hold. So if they didn't hold on that, he was going to have unlimited authoritarian power. And we are against that, no matter how many times people try to pretend that we're on the side of Trump.
No matter how many times I congratulate Candace Owens for making a good point.
Listen to what I am actually saying, and you will see this every day on the Young Turks.
Listen to what I'm actually saying after she's like, I just played a clip of what you actually said, man.
I am against Trump. Totally. Okay. Now, okay. Yes, but why do you love Trump will be the next question. Okay.
Did I ask?
Why do you love Trump? Oh, sorry.
So
Jake,
Okay,
talk
so
about a
now,
straw
hold
man.
on,
I mean,
hold on.
you're making
I'm going to say what you're going to say next.
stuff I never
Let me
said.
answer your questions.
Come
What's the
on.
point of coming on here if I
Funny.
can't answer your
Jake,
questions?
I'm giving you plenty of time to answer, brother.
No,
You're making up stuff about me. I didn't say that.
Okay,
So you want to
Jesus
talk about
Christ,
straw men?
Crystal.
You're
This is
inventing
it's a
things on the
mistake
spot.
talking to you guys. It's a
Yeah.
mistake.
Exactly. Chris is talking about the meta of the conversation instead of actually having the conversation. I hate that. I hate it when people do that. It's like, and you know, I always feel like it's people that they're either like cornered or they're just not, they don't have an argument to make at that point. So they start just like talking about talking. You talked for this amount of time and I've talked about this amount of time. And it's like, they're like, okay, now I got the argument. That's right. Okay. Now let me, like while they're thinking or something, maybe that's probably like way too charitable. Anyway.
So, okay, now when you're talking about the Pentagon cuts,
Mm-hmm.
you think that I thought, oh my God, Elon's such a good guy and Trump's such a good guy, even though I've spoken out against them at every single turn. And then I magically thought, oh, I bet they become liberals overnight, progressives overnight. No, you put out the Pentagon thing so that they're stuck either way. That's why Bernie and Roe joined me, because either they cut the Pentagon, we go, yes, mission accomplished. We got a tiny, tiny amount accomplished during a Trump reign, which seemed impossible. Or they don't cut the Pentagon and they add to it. And then we all come out, as I did and Bernie and Roe did, and go, see, we told you. They're hypocrites. The leaders of your party never intended to cut the Pentagon. MAGA, they were lying to you. Now,
Does
Crystal,
MAGA care, Jen? Did that work? Did MAGA
yes,
care?
they do care.
No, they don't.
No.
They all changed their minds and now they don't support Trump anymore.
Okay, Crystal.
I've seen zero pushback on the Pentagon budget. Let me just say, because I let you go on for a little while.
Oh, I know.
There
God
were
forbid I got to answer one or
there
two
were
questions. Go ahead.
there were two tactics that were floated by me and by you in our conversation. Okay. You said, I think it's great that Elon's responding to me, Don Jr.'s responding to me. Like we have more of a chance. No, you said we have more of a chance with these guys.
Are they doing an Abbott Costello routine? That was you're old. That's what that is. So okay, you know, you just aged yourself. Like 90% of the chat's like, oh, what? No, I want to know what this is. A Costello is like, what's a Costello? Is that like a brand of gasoline or something? What is Costello?
To cut the Pentagon budget, then we don't. And I said,
but yes, it does seem like one of their. I'm old too. It's okay. I get it.
Nothing good's going to come out of this. And so the important thing to do is to resist the project outright, because we don't want a bunch of the richest man on the planet running our government. And so we saw how this played out.
Yeah.
The Pentagon. Hold on. The Pentagon did not get cut. And actually, what happened is all of the liberal and left organizing against Tesla, against the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, against Elon directly, tanked his popularity to the point that Trump felt he was a political liability and the whole project had to be scrapped. So the tactic of it
is really weird that there are so many people in the chat that are now like describing the Abbott and Costello, but how old is everybody?
Work with them and try to cut the Pentagon budget failed.
I have no kids in my audience. It's insane.
The tactic of let's resist this project outright and make the case and make Elon himself politically toxic succeeded.
So, Crystal, we do live in two different worlds. It's fascinating to see. It's amazing to see. So, number one, the project of saying cut the Pentagon worked. Why did it work? Because they cut the Pentagon, they magically became progressives overnight? No, it worked because it showed and highlighted their hypocrisy, that they weren't going to cut the Pentagon. And now I know, I get it, guys. Especially if you're in the audience, you're not seeing it. I get it, and I'm not saying that as an insult. You're not seeing it.
So you won because the Pentagon budget went up, even though you thought that the Pentagon budget would get cut.
Can I finish? Okay. So the reason you're not seeing it is because
Can I finish?
you're not engaging with MAGA, and that's okay. And you don't want to engage with MAGA. I got it.
Do you know who I am? Do you know the show I host?
I don't know if you know who you are.
Who are you talking to right now? I host a show with Sagar and Jetty and Emily Jasinski every day.
So Crystal,
no one,
yeah, she talks to this.
one in this room talks more to MAGA than I do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. So are you saying
the dude that is on her show is completely fucking batshit too? Dude is nuts.
that none of the MAGA voters we're thrilled that they added to the Pentagon? Is that what you're saying?
They don't give a shit because Trump did it.
Elon and Trump.
No, you guys are wrong.
Elon and Trump and Don Jr. Cenk lied to you from the beginning when
Oh my
they
God.
pretended like there was even
Who's this guy?
a 1% chance of it. So when people told you at the time, though, resist them outright and point out that they're frauds.
Okay,
Don't pretend like
this
maybe
is
they'll
so
cut it.
stupid.
That was kind of the point.
You guys have a totally ridiculous, all right, let me not be so.
You're stupid.
We disagree on strategy.
He calls everybody stupid.
Okay.
Definitely,
So,
yes.
okay, yeah. This whole idea that you're making.
You know, calling people stupid really gets them to move over to your side of things. It's like, man, you're so good at swaying people's opinions.
A difference because Donald Trump is listening to the left. I can't believe you guys think that. That sounds totally detached from reality.
I'll make that case in a minute.
Why is Elon Musk out? Because people burn Tesla cars? I mean, Crystal, you said that in the intro. Are you serious? No, Elon's out because his policies were always deeply unpopular. No one wanted those cuts.
Yeah, and who pressed that case?
And they're in la la land.
Cenk, and who pressed that case?
The left and liberals in the street.
Joe Rogan hosted him on his podcast to pump him up. Joe Rogan,
guys,
think about, but Cenk, think about this.
this
Think about this.
Joe Rogan had like 8 billionaires on like one after another to just lie about stuff. It's like it was like Elon, and then the Facebook weirdo, and then the other weirdo, and then the weirdest of the weird. I can't remember.
Even those straw man.
No.
Hold on, can I just?
Let me just finish my thought here, okay? Rogan hosted Zuckerberg and Andreessen to attack the CFPB.
Of course he did.
To gut and attack the CFPB.
I saw porn the other day that started just like this. That's actually a pretty good idea for a pornography video where you start out like it's a debate, a political debate, and then the tempers flare and then the clothes come off. You know what I mean? Everybody stop picturing that with what's going on here. But if you do want to do something like that, but yourself, maybe it's a video that you could watch back after, go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley. Oops, wrong one. Hold on.
Progressive overnight?
No,
Are
but
you
it's
insane? No, guys.
Are you insane? You were the one who apparently thought that. Cenk, if anything is going to be populist, hold on, Cenk. Let me finish a thought. If the populist right stands for anything, you would think it would be an anti-scam bureau that is wildly effective. But no, and actually stood up against debunking conservatives. But no, what did Rogan do, and what did they cheer for with Elon with the chainsaw? Completely gutting not only the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Trump gutting the National Labor Relations Board, but them defenestrating the ability of this government to enforce white-collar crime at all. Did MAGA care? No, they didn't. The only people that held them to account were left and liberals who organized against that, and yes, successfully made Elon so toxic that he ultimately crashed out of the administration. That's what happened.
And and gotten fist fights with people, and Andrew's like clearly drugged out, just like doing the ketamine bob in the corner there. But hey, Deep State, how's it going? And Mudfan fell off. Have to wait until the truck is fixed, and they won't just give me money for mud flap and let me. Oh wow, I'm sorry about that. Sorry to hear. I honestly don't know exactly what you're saying there, but it sounds like it kind of sucks probably, but hope everything works out. But I know, Giselle, I'm getting there. I promise I won't forget about Gina. I promise. Okay, it's okay.
So let me try explaining it this way and see if I can get through to you guys. So you keep telling me all the things that Trump did wrong. Of course he did. So I'm saying that it's a given that he's always going to do, for example, 90% of things massively wrong. And in the other 10% that he plans to do wrong, I'm saying we have a fighter's chance if we ally and we show hypocrisy, or we get allies. It's a win-win either way, okay? So for example, in opposing the war, either they become our allies and somehow at some point we stop this war, or
they're not going to be.
We show, oh, you guys never meant it. Now
you're not ever going to be our allies, man. That is just so weird to think that that's something they would do on the right.
You're the pro-war party, which makes us much more likely to win over independents and win the next election. But as I say that, you keep framing it as if I agree with them 90%, and where I think that I'm going to flip them overnight on the 90% where we disagree.
No. Hey, PC, how's it going? Thank you so much for all your help here. I really appreciate it. It's awesome.
No, there's no chance of that. So you can stop asking that question. They're not going to move on cutting the budget, and they're not going to listen that, hey, you know what, you shouldn't cut the malaria treatment in Africa, you shouldn't cut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because every dollar we spend there, we get back $20, etc. But if you go with your maximalist approach, guys, and you say, all right, I'm fighting you in a maximum way, so that means I'm never going to agree with you, I'm going to insult you at every turn, I'm not going to listen to you. So when you come in and you go, hey, guys, let's ally against the war, or maybe did you think that Elon's and I said this in every right-wing talk show that I did, and I said it at the Charlie Kirk event, I said, remember, beware of your own donors like Elon Musk.
But it's worked for the right. Like, what the hell? Like, it's weird that he's like, oh, that's not ever going to work. Yet that's literally what the right does all the time. They just dig their heels in. They call the other side all sorts of names, right? And yet it works. So I don't know like where he's at, but I don't feel like what it's almost like he's describing like what the Democrats do regularly, which they used to criticize when they would be, like I was saying earlier, like reaching over the aisle and stuff. And used to be like, this bullshit. Why are you trying to be so nice? These people hate you. They're never going to work with you, yada, yada. And then now that's what he's like trying to say. He's like going about it in a slightly different way here. But I mean, it's almost the same thing.
And then eventually they got aware of their own donors. Now, did they do it magically and overnight? No, it was mainly a fight between Elon and Trump, right?
It was their egos.
And,
it had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk.
And the reason they are unpopular is not because the left's maximalist approach of yelling fascist at every Trump voter is working. It's because their policies are deeply unpopular.
And who explains that their policies are deeply unpopular? The left and liberals are the ones that highlight how deeply unpopular those policies are. So that's where the credit belongs.
Like I do. So
right, but that's not like Joe Rogan does, right? Joe Rogan doesn't do that. Charlie Kirk doesn't do that. They don't do that.
Said how unpopular they are.
Yeah, but my point is, Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk don't do that, Jank. They're not allies. Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk don't do that. None of Steve Bannon doesn't do that. Sloppy Steve goes and gives Trump a hand job every day. That's the point, is that they're not allies. And by the way, even on the Iran war thing.
That's Nikki. Nikki like hates watching when I watch this dude, Kyle, because of the way he talks. She's like, he talks like a fucking middle schooler. It's like, he's slobbing on the dick of Trump every day, just licking the ball. It's like, she just hates. It's like, stop talking about his balls. Stop talking about Trump's ball. I don't want to think about that. Okay, stop. What are you doing, Kyle? I don't like this. She's like, please turn him off. Okay. Plus the hair color and cut, just throw. I don't like it. It's like, are you a surfer? What are you doing?
They're lying. They are lying. We literally have the quotes right here. Charlie Kirk is already backpedaling. Quote, we must trust Trump in this situation. Steve Bannon, if Trump ultimately decides to bomb Iran's nuclear sites, MAGA would come around. That's not me speaking. That's Steve Bannon. The vast majority of the MAGA movement will go, look, we trust your judgment. We don't like it. In fact, we may hate it, but we'll get on board. Tucker Carlson called Trump and apologized, and he also said on his podcast with Steve Bannon, quote, I like Israel. I don't talk about Gaza because my audience got mad at me. He said, quote, watching Donald Trump, who at his core is sincere about peace, I feel for President Trump, and he just has to roll with it. That is not true. What he's saying is not true. These are not allies. They will immediately start moving the goalposts as soon as Trump starts bombing Iran.
Here we go again.
You're going to get this. You're going to get, oh, he's getting bad advice from the neocons around him. It's not a big deal. It's a limited attack. It's defensive. It's not offensive. This isn't like Iraq. There are no boots on the ground. The only people who are sincere that I will grant you, Jank, is libertarians. So Thomas Massey.
Chrissy said Charlie Kirk also didn't help anything with his viral clip of Your Body, My Choice. I mean, that was, what's his name, right? Wasn't that Nick whatever guy? I don't want to put his name out there because then they all show up, all the Yahtzees just in droves if you start saying their names. It's amazing. But yeah, I thought that was that dude, that Nick guy.
And Dave Smith, because libertarians have a track record like Ron Paul did of being very principled, but everybody in MAGA, or 99% of them, will bend the knee, just like 99% of the
that's the last thing I want to think about. I know,
ones in Congress have already bent the knee. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's saying things that are against the war, she's ultimately not signing on to the bill to block the war.
Okay, so here we go again. So again, 90-10, guys. The framing of that question makes it sound like I think Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson have good intent, and my God, they're ready to rebel on everything against Donald Trump.
I said Iran.
Wow, it's like he oversimplifies everything when he's like characterizing what they're saying. They're just saying that this isn't working, man. Like you're appealing to them, though, like those people and stuff doesn't work. It just they immediately shift the goalposts and shit.
Sir, no,
I said Iran.
And he does like work with them and stuff. Like he talks about how hey, they're being reasonable and stuff, and he makes sure to point that out, even though you can say that like being against the what's going on in Gaza is a good thing or whatever, without having to say the names of far right extremists that have YouTube channels. Like, you don't have to fucking mention them. Yet they do all the time to be like, see, we have stuff in common. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Can I just answer a question?
But I didn't say that. I said Iran.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So I think that obviously 90% of the...
But it's cool because Charlie Kirk has had a bunch of other viral clips of him being just as disgusting. So, I mean, like the one where he said that he wouldn't even want to get on a plane if he saw that there was a black pilot. That was one. That was one of the almost as equally disgusting things he said.
The influencers, the hosts, etc., are going to stick with Trump 100%, right? Well, I wouldn't even say 90%. I'd say 75% or so. Are they going to kiss his ass on everything? Well, of course they are. They're on the right, and their whole ecosystem is based on kissing politicians and leaders' asses. Now, let's be honest, not us and not you guys, but MSNBC and now a lot of online hosts on the left, their job is to kiss the Democratic ass. And they say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden was young and dynamic, etc. So, yes, we have the partisans. And they
is anybody out there saying Cenk was so painful to watch in that back and forth? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is currently painful. When I guess we've already crossed into. I was going to save the Kyle portion for another time, but it looks like we have already just ran. I guess I don't know when they must have saw a green light go Kyle thing on the back wall that none of us saw because now it's Kyle all of a sudden. But okay. Yeah, this is painful. I'm going to be honest. It's quite painful.
Are by definition always going to stick with one side is great, the other side is the devil. Okay. So now when you get to the 25% of hosts, because now the reason I moved it from 10 to 25.
I just want to finish this point so that we can move on.
Because you're including Rogan, etc. So is Rogan the same as Steve Bannon? If you think he is, that's just totally wrong. Now, do they agree on a lot of things? Yes. Do they agree on everything? No.
I mean, Joe Rogan is like so much larger it's just a way bigger platform, and he meets, he reaches a much broader audience. And so, yeah, he's going to have views that are, not as right wing as Bannon, but he still has a lot of right wing views, and he spreads a lot of right wing conspiracies and misinformation and everything else. So, he's I think was the biggest podcast on earth for a time, right? I think he just recently got passed up by somebody else. I can't remember, some other show, but which is odd. Some other show I'd never even heard of. But
is Steve Bannon right about most things? No, he's horribly, horribly wrong about most things. So will they, when Trump says heal, will they heal? In the beginning, yes. And that's exactly what you're saying. But the reason they're having to heal is because they started rebelling in the first place. And Trump got mad and everybody else got mad. And even today, you just go on any website. So Bannon is saying, don't go to war. It's terrible. Is he then saying, oh, Donald Trump? Of course he is, because he's on that side. And did we see a lot of left-leaning hosts go, oh, well, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are corporate guys and they're bad, but we have to go with them anyway. Yes, we did. But look, you have to be honest about what's actually.
I mean, trying to make it like those two things are co-equal is insane. But
happening. So
what is his point though? I'm so confused.
Well, guys are saying, I'm not trying to strawman you guys like you did, in my opinion.
That would be really funny if you did strawman you.
The framing of every question. So I'm asking, you're saying it's all fake, and you think that all these right-wing hosts are not actually anti-war, that this is but they've been telling their audience now for months that,
Cenk,
that the war is a terrible. Let me ask the question. And that the war is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. But how would that strategy work? So they get their audience totally against the war, then they capitulate to Trump.
Let me tell you how that strategy works.
How did that help them be pro-war?
Let me explain how
My
that
answer to your question
works.
is yes, by the way. In 99% of cases, they are just lying and they'll go and suck Trump off again.
So let me
100%.
That's a real disagreement.
Jesus. All right. I think we got, what is it? Maybe we'll finish this off another time, but yeah, I want to make sure we got some time for Gina, because I know everybody wants a little bit of Gina. Not like that. I mean, wow, that just came out really weird. I shouldn't have said it that way. Well, let me see. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna look her up because I don't think I've had her in the. There you call that. There she goes. She was like, "Is that the newest one? When did that come out? 4 hours ago." This lady streams more than I feel like anybody I've ever seen ever. Like she's like every single time I'm looking at my phone or whatever, it's like, Gina's streaming again. Gina's streaming again. I'm like, my God, when do you not stream? Yeah, Jesus Christ. And does she have somebody just following her around with a phone? What is happening? Does she have one of them sticks? How is she doing all this?
Way off.
She says something feels way off. Dude, this is like starting to wonder if maybe she's not too healthy here, because there's always something way off with her. She's always be like, something's wrong. I feel it. Do you feel it? Like the one time she was like, there's some energy being sucked out of my toes when I stand on the ground. Like, fucking, what the hell is going on?
Frequency and energy feels a little. Frequency is, I can't put my finger on it, but something feels way off. I think you're right. It's the energy on this earth. It's not a good frequency. Energy is frequency as far as I'm concerned. That's what I equate it to.
Energy is frequency as far as Gina's concerned. Okay. Given that I really do like to meditate and stuff, I always feel like when people talk about energy and stuff, I always just assume that it's like your experience of your mind, your focus, and your body or whatever. That usually means energy. It's a sort of a combination of all that stuff. Your mind, body, focus, all that shit.
And the energy feels way off. The frequency feels way off. The frequency.
Oh, and your body language. That's what I'm sorry. Like, yeah, your body language also is part of the energy. Somebody's like, their energy was just weird, and it's just like they're basing it off of like what you're saying and what you look like in your body language and stuff. But yeah, nothing magical as far as I can tell. But that's what I'm trying to do anyway. I'm trying to like meet these people in the middle and be like, okay, what would I describe what they're describing as, like, as someone that doesn't believe in chakras and shit.
Frequency and energy feels a little bit twisted. It doesn't feel the way that it should in an equally balanced world that we live in. It doesn't.
No.
It's twisted. And it's not.
What's up, local leftists? Cool. We're getting leftists now. I was hoping that would be something that would be happening, because I'm definitely a leftist. The more I look into stuff, the more leftist I feel I am. But it's been a slow process, I guess, as of late.
Twisted together in a good way. It's kind of twisted together in a bad way. It's like neither the good energy or the bad energy can live separate from each other at this point.
They're living together now. They're shacking up. The good energy and the bad energy, just boning.
Because it's so intertangled and intertwined with one another. It just feels.
Yeah. Okay. So you said the frequency, and it's funny you said that too, because like they always say it's like the frequency, and you're like, okay, but what is a frequency? Seriously, like ask that question, because a lot of times the people that use that word frequency, they don't know what it means, because it's just something happening every so often. the frequency. It's like how frequent something happens. That throws them off. They're like, hold on a second, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, because it's not. They're talking about some vibrational energy, whatever. You know what I mean?
Feels way off. They're both choking each other out, is what it feels like. The energy, both the energy.
Choking each other out because, you know, she's got a fetish for that, probably, you know, and that's something that, and if you have a choking out fetish, just go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Bentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Bentley. Okay. You know, in case you're into that type of stuff, you know, but make sure you do it with other people. Don't do it by yourself. Okay. If you're into the suffocation stuff, please, you know, always have a spotter.
Energies are choking each other out. It's like each energy is trying to get as much as it can take out of the other. Hey there, Applebrooks, honey. Hello, everyone. It's about to go.
Hello.
You're getting chatter for the past few days, Rita, honey. A lot of people are feeling it.
Still in for Doug.
It sometimes feels like
all hail Doug and Bigfoot. Is Dave here? Where's Dave? Anyway, but yeah, Doug and Bigfoot, they bunk in together. You know, we can hail them both.
Like yesterday, felt like I had stepped into a twilight zone. That's what I felt like I stepped into, a twilight zone, because it was so.
A twilight zone. That's like an extra. That's like a Twilight Zone, but like harder.
So way off. Way off.
So way off.
I thought, this is not the normal timeline that I'm supposed to be on. This is not the, or did, I don't know.
You don't think you're on the right timeline? What, you think you fell through a fucking portal of some sort? You Loki'd it? Like, what the hell is happening?
Has that parallel world like kind of got mixed up in this world that we live in?
Sure. Yeah. You know what? All of them. All of them. They're just mixing together like spaghetti, like a big bowl of spaghetti, you know, that, like what Batman was talking about in Flash.
That parallel world would not be a really good one. If so, good afternoon. And
so that parallel world would not be a good one. Okay. I think I skipped forward by accident. Oops.
It sometimes feels like yesterday felt like I had stepped into a twilight zone.
Okay, I guess I did.
Because that parallel world would not be a really good one.
It would not be a really good one.
If so, good afternoon. Yeah.
It would not be. It would not.
That's what it feels like.
She always does that. It would not.
Thing has happened. And
I don't know why it's so funny. What? What, Gina?
Has anyone else been feeling feelings of impending doom? You feel like you could just cry, or maybe you have been crying because you feel a lot of sorrow within you and stuff like that. Is anyone?
Do you have depression? You might want to go get checked out or look into meditating or something, you know?
I've been feeling that. I mean, I don't feel it, but I've heard other people saying that.
It's like, not me. I'm talking about other people that are not me are feeling that way. But it's not me.
And they have a great fear that they're feeling on the inside of them. You keep seeing the shadows out of the corner of your eye. Okay, that's the.
Got to quit the meth. Okay, yeah, meth will do that. You know, you got to, and you do need to go to sleep at some point. Okay, you can't be just staying up for days on end like that. Okay, you're gonna see shadow people.
Shadow beings. That's the shadow beings. They're real. And
I don't think they are, but
I don't want to say that this video is for entertainment purposes.
There are beings that cast shadows, but those could just be people. So
this is only, I shouldn't have to say it, and I'm not going to say it. I should be allowed to speak my mind. I should, just like everybody else is. I have a right to my own belief, my own perception of how.
Did somebody say that you can't?
How I perceive reality through my own eyes, and I can speak about it.
Is the chat like turning against her?
They are real. Chat? They're very, very real.
Show chat replay.
I've been seeing like small, shadowy things too.
The chat is hilarious in this play. Like, it is so funny. I don't know. It's kind of like
moving around.
But the people that watch this lady in like all earnest are hilarious.
They haven't been in the corner of my eye lately. They kind of been like
full front, right in the middle of my eye,
moving really fast in front of me. And if you're seeing the shadow people,
go get help. Go get help. Go into, Baker Act yourself. I guess, I guess that would just be going to the mental health facility, but just go to the mental health facility immediately.
they're becoming more bowed. Maybe the veil is thinning even more than
Becoming more bowed.
What we realize. And I've been seeing where they're talking about a pole flip.
There is a pole flip. That's right. And never mind, I'm not gonna go.
Your husband saw a green.
I saw a stripper do a pole flip one time. Wow, that's talent right there.
Spirit around the moon. Wow. Thank you, Esther.
Wow.
Honey. Your dog is watching something in your room at night.
Hold on, but let me see what some of these things. Gina, and all too much humidity, no air either. And we have not only had explosions sounds going off for the past month underground that have way too shaking vibrations, but yesterday, military helicopters flying overhead, vibrating our home. Where the hell is Rita at? That sucks, man. What the and there's a few places she absolutely could be, given the the current state of affairs as far as war is concerned. But Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Are there any trying to see if we could see further down? Hold on. No, I guess not. Hold on. Oh, okay. Let me put it right there. Oh, absolutely. I'm seeing light beings too. That's nice. You got to even it out, I guess. You got the shadow people and the light beings. Them two don't get along very well, right? It's weird. When the light beings show up, the shadow people disappear. They just gone, vanished. It's crazy.
Probably protecting you too at the same time. Really. They have a sixth sense. They got some better senses than we do.
The shadow people?
I think they're more in tune with the spiritual realm.
Well, being that they're shadow people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been barking a lot at night.
The shadow people bark? Who is? A dog? Says who is a dog? Probably, seeing as how those are the things that bark.
And something feels way off. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button.
Oh yeah, if you don't mind, if y'all want to hit that like button, I'd appreciate it. I always forget to ask, and then until somebody else says it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta ask people who like the stream. But yeah, thank you.
If you want, if you don't hit it. If you don't want to click like, don't click like. Don't.
It seems like she's trying to do some reverse psychology out there. Actually, please don't hit the like button. I actually don't want you to. In fact, if you do, I'm going to be upset with you. So do what I say and don't hit the like button. Do it. Do not.
You don't have to do it. Now, I'll throw that out there if you want to. Yeah. Your animals have been very clingy. People probably do not want to go outside.
Yeah, puppies can be like that, They're fucking clingy, right? Just every time I turn around, there it is, Just need love and support. It's ridiculous.
And if you don't want to go outside, just imagine your animals not wanting to go outside. Rosie does not stay outside long at all. It's not just the heat. It's something, there's some kind of frequency with this heat.
And she said, I'm only a second gen American. Both sides come here with my grandparents. We slept, slept my French Quarter. They were here a little before. I have no idea what to do with any of that. I'm going to be honest. I'm hoping that there was probably some previous context that I'm just unprivy to. You know what I mean?
That is also out there. It's not just a single, oh, I'm burning up, the sun's going to burn you. No, there's something in it. There's something in the heat, and there's some kind of an energy, some kind of frequency, it feels like, that is flowing in.
What? So you can't help but notice, can't help to notice, but you haven't hit the click, haven't clicked the like. I haven't. Now, I feel like that would be weird, right? Are you allowed to do that? You can't just like your own streams, right? That's fine. That's inappropriate. That feels dishonest. I don't think you're supposed to do that, guys.
Like, of course, we've got a solar flare coming in. Yeah. And I looked at that sign and I didn't see what they said. I didn't. Your dog won't go outside.
Andrew's side combo. Sorry. Yeah, it's cool. I like messing with y'all like that. It's just it's just fun.
Sometimes they're very afraid.
Oh.
It wakes you up exhausted.
Well, you want me to like her video? I don't know. She said I don't have to though.
No dandelions and no vases.
Yeah, we'll do it.
The animals are refusing to go outside. Yeah, I can. It's at the point now when I was outside tying up my tomato plants in the garden, Rosie, she'd just go in the garden with me and she just lay there. And I said, Rosie, honey, come on. And she just lay there and she just lets me pick her up. Her body feels so limp. I pick her up and I carry her in the house. And it's like she doesn't seem to matter. Thank you for those hearts flying up the screen.
She doesn't seem to matter. Is that what you just said?
She doesn't mind that I do that, but I've been able
doesn't seem to mind it, not matter.
to pick her up a whole lot more than I
Mind over matter. You know what I mean?
used to. It's like says, yeah, she's just exhausted. Yeah.
You like your own video for the algorithm gods? I don't think that's appropriate. I think the gods would know that you're up to something. You're playing games like that. Just liking your own stream. That is dishonest. What, Gina? You got it. What is happening? Is she trying to read this big ass comment? And suddenly, out of nowhere, my dog absolutely refuses to go outside in our fenced-in yard to go potty. Anymore for the past month, it's as though something happened to her out there, having accidents in the house. Damn, that actually kind of sucks. Feel bad for you there. It's funny, we always say potty too, and then we're like, our dog's name is Betty, and then we always have fun with it, we're like, come on Betty, let's go potty. Yeah, come on Betty, let's go potty. Oh, stuff like that. It's like I say, it's potty time. It's cute. Just stop. Okay, I can feel your judgment and I don't appreciate it.
How do you like that? Don't be coming on there with comments like that. I find it very distasteful.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bucko. You're distasteful.
And see, this is the type of energy. It's like people don't care what they say. They don't. You just let it come out. Let it come.
What is she talking about? Hold on. Now I feel like I need to find the comment. She was. I agree with the UK. There feels like a dark energy playing. No, not that one. Let me know lots of changes. Poor Rosie. Prayers for her too. I feel tired. Actually, got no wasp. But did she delete it? It's gonna irritate me if she did. Praying God's mighty. Warning angels all around you. The birds have been waking up between 2 and 3 in the morning. Now, I think she took out the comment. God damn it. That sucks. Anyway, all right.
Out is what happens. Greetings from the UK, Rydid. You're close to Death Valley in Nevada, and it was 117 in the shade. Where you're at?
What? 117 in the shade? Jesus, that is absurd.
It only got hot one summer that we lived out in the whole 7 years that we lived in Nevada. It only got really hot one summer. And I think, I want to say, I don't think that was that time we went out to Death Valley. And it's like, oh my gosh, I hope this Mustang doesn't overheat. That was really scary. And those rocks, they really do move by themselves. Yeah.
What? Hold on. What? The rocks move by themselves? What?
Hello there in South Africa every day.
Yeah, South Africa. Don't interrupt. She was just about to say something about rocks moving on their own.
Alchemy. Welcome. The energy's way off. The frequency's way off.
It's off. Yeah.
And
it's too slow. It should be faster.
Seen that P. Diddy I did. I saw the headline. I thought, I didn't follow that stuff.
Her saying P. Diddy sounds so funny. P. Diddy. Yep, I heard about that. P. Diddy.
But if this guy is really getting off a lot easier than he should have, then here's the energy shift. The darkness, the deep state has made a deal with
the darkness and the deep state. They made a deal. All the both of them with the judge and everything. Diddy was CIA. Oh, I love these people. God, they're funny.
The new guard. That's what I think. The deep state has made a deal.
What the fuck?
Lord only knows what that deal was. Really.
Lord only knows. It probably was. Well, I can't say on the stream here.
The microwaves from the 5G towers. It's more than just microwaves from the 5G towers. They got satellites up there in the sky that can even beam it down.
They can. So even if you burn your 5G tower down, they got satellites that'll just shoot it at your face anyway.
Watch that Twilight Zone. They can do it too. Their weapons are far more greater.
The Twilight Zone weapons?
They can, I believe, they got satellites up there in the sky that can even beam it down. Do you watch that Twilight Zone? They can do it too. Their weapons are far more greater. They could.
Do you watch that Twilight Zone? They can do it too.
I believe that they can beam something down also up there. I mean, they can bounce the energy all around from it. Get us in a big old frequency net. Yeah. You think he was CIA? I've not heard that. But
damn, you can't do wheat. Ouch. Ouch. I don't know if you know this. That shit's in everything.
That's a pretty interesting twist.
Is it the gluten? Everybody always talking about gluten. They're like, man, if you ever feel bad, you're like stuffy, that's gluten. Anytime you feel bad at all, gluten. That's what that is.
Like an interesting twist if he was that. But I'm not, that's all I'm going to say about him. That's it. That goes along with this energy that's out there. The energy is.
Did he actually get off? Is that true? Do we know if Diddy actually did get I thought I saw a headline like that when I was just scanning through, but I was like, no way. And then I just kept going and forgot all about it.
Way off. And it feels as if the two energies, the good versus the bad, they have intertwined. They're trying to squeeze as much out of each other as they can. They're just like choking each other to death is what it feels like. It's all twisted.
She's talking about the light beings or the positive and negative energies are trying to hurt each other.
All twisted. It's like who can squeeze each other the hardest with this energy out there.
Yeah, it's a competition.
I mean, the energy's still there, but it's literally fighting. They're fighting each other very hard. If you can picture that spiritual energy.
What? How would we picture that? Like, we picture the positive energy like strangling the negative energy and vice versa. They're just both strangling each other.
We've been getting dizzy spells with the heat. I believe it. I really do. The power of positive always wins. I believe that. Yeah.
She just retook the power of positive always wins. That's right. Until then, you start looking at things in a negative way, and then that wins.
Yeah, it almost like affects our equilibrium. Oh, okay, that brought me back to my one train of thought about their
just the one. That's the one train of thought that you got.
Talking about that pole shift again. Did you notice that?
That's right. And if you want to shift your pole, just go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout, and you can get poles to shift your I mean, you got ways you can go that way if you want, or they've got flashlights for your pole. So go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Brentley. That's right. All right, y'all. I think we're gonna wrap it up. But thank you all so much for hanging out. This is super fun. I will be back tomorrow And maybe since everybody seems to like her so much, we'll start putting Gina at the end regularly, because it is kind of fun to mess with her a little bit. I just can't do it for too long, because I feel like it starts to just be the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you want to hit that like button, I'd appreciate it. Any kind of clicks that you could spare, you could send them my way. I'd appreciate it. The like button is the little thumb thing down there. Anyway, but if you want to support the show, you can support us by supporting our sponsor, adamandeve.com, or you could do a bunch of other crap. Right? You become a patron, which is mainly just to to support the show, right? That's just patreon.com/bunkapostate. Because they don't let me do a live. Honestly, that is like the biggest mess up right there of Patreon, is that I can't do lives. But anyway, but you can support us there. You can also do a one-time thing on Cash App. The cash tag is Apostate, all one word. You can also become a member. That's the one where you get the most stuff, I would say. If you hit the join button, become a member, then you get access to all the live streams that go to members almost as soon as they're done being live, because every so often that happens, right? It's kind of my little thing. I just send them over to members only, because we do so many lives, but it's fun anyway. But you can email me at punkapostate@gmail.com. You can also join our Discord, and if you have any suggestions, please join the Discord. Throw them in the suggestion box on the Discord. It's like Fundie Tube suggestions. Please let me know. I love seeing what y'all got for me to react to and stuff. We will finish up the crystal ball and Kyle and Jenk another time. We'll do the end of it the next time or something. But all right, y'all. Well, hey, thank y'all so much again for hanging out. Seriously, y'all are the best. And make sure to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we will see you next time.